Number 10, Miami Hurricanes, who are 11-2, taking on the number 2 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, who are 12-1. Buckeyes are favored by 9.5 in a game that has an over/under of 42. Spread is 9.5, like I said, but this is a game that you and I, Max, from other people I've talked to, you and I are two people who think this game is going to be closer than most do. I'll get into my reasons in a second. Tell me why you think this game, why that 9-point spread is a little too big.
Yeah, and I think it's probably around where I'd have it. Maybe a little bit less than that. We'll get to score predictions in a little bit, but I think this Miami defense is a top 5 defense in the country, and I think, you saw Ohio State when they played like a defense like Indiana, only scored 10 points in that game. I'm not gonna say they're gonna score that few in this one, but I think this Miami defensive line can really cause a lot of problems for Ohio State's offensive line, and I think, Julian Sayin, we'll see how he can handle the pressure in this one. I think Julian Sayin is maybe the best quarterback left in the playoff, even over Mendoza or Dante Moore. I would still, that kid's been phenomenal this year, but I'm really looking at.
If all were draft eligible, I would take Sayin first.
Oh, not even close. Not even close. Yeah, that kid's phenomenal. But you saw in the Indiana game when they got consistent pressure on him, he was good, not great. And I think Miami can cause him to be that too. Now the big question is, can Carson Beck do anything against this Ohio State defense? That's the question to know, but I do think Miami's defense can keep them in this game enough to have a shot at winning this game. We'll see if I'll get my score prediction later, but whether or not I think that will happen. But I do think that Miami's defense can give Ohio State's offense a lot more issues than people think they would.
I'm with you. Yeah, to me, this is an even battle of the trenches. Even battle of O-line, D-line, across the board, NFL talent on both teams. You got top 3 D-line in Miami. I mean, we just saw what they did to A&M, who was ranked as one of the best O-lines in the country, and they just exposed them. 27 pressures. I mean, we know about Bain. We know about Mesidor. We know how good Miami's O-line is as well. Both sides, obviously, Caden Curry and OSU's D-line, they got some dudes over there, Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, who I think are the two top linebackers for the NFL draft right now. On the season, Max, Ohio State has only allowed 11 sacks. Miami has only allowed 13. I think a lot of people are thinking this is a mismatch across the lines, which that's the part I would argue is the most even, where Miami could even have a potential advantage. I think a lot of people are discounting this Miami team, thinking it's like, oh, ACC, like they're like, one of the lower ranked teams. And it's like, that is not the case at all. They have dudes for days on both sides of the ball, and they can match up with Ohio State physicality-wise. I think they're one of the few teams that can match up with Ohio State physicality-wise. And like you mentioned, the only 2 games where Julian Sayin has really truly looked human was the Texas game and the Indiana game. Both games where they got pressure on him. Indiana game, in fact, he was sacked 5 times. The only time he was sacked more than twice all season in that game, which you just mentioned. Indiana's pass rush has a pass rushing grade of 81.7. Miami's has a 92.1. So they're better on paper than Indiana's. I think the biggest advantage for Ohio State, which we'll get into, is Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. And obviously Julian Sayin is, but I would say that's where the biggest mismatch is Miami's secondary versus Ohio State's weapons. We know Keontae Scott is back for Miami, but he's more of a slot cover, still at a 90 coverage grade. Talk about that those mismatches on that side.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm with you that they do have the advantage Ohio State does over, but I mean Miami's secondary has been elite this year too. So like I think that that could be more of a good matchup than people think. I mean, to me, the biggest mismatch in the whole game is Carson Beck against his defense. I think if Ohio State does win, which I do think they're going to do, and I will get to my score prediction later on, I think we're going to look back on it and be like, man, Miami's defense really put them in a place to win this game, and Carson Beck just could not do it. And I think that is what we're going to see, because Carson Beck was not good against Texas A&M. Like, if they scored 10 points in that game, he really struggled out there. Now you go against an Ohio State defense that has not allowed 17 points in any game this year. I think that to me, why I'm hesitant to say Miami will do it. I think they can do it, but why I'm hesitant to say that they will beat Ohio State is I don't think Carson Beck is going to be able to go out there against that defense and put up enough points to win this game ultimately for the Hurricanes. So that to me is the biggest mismatch in the game and why I'm picking Ohio State to win this one. Miami's got a shot, man. I mean, with that defense, and we'll see what happens in that game. But I think with that defense, they certainly have a shot. And, you said it before, you can argue that Miami has the trench advantage on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line. And if you have the advantage in the offensive line and defensive line on both sides, that's a big advantage, right? So I think that's a matchup where I'm looking at and saying, man, 9.5 points, and when you're telling me that Miami's a better team in the trenches, that's a little dangerous for Ohio State right there.
For sure. I think that right there is Miami's key to victory, and really their only path to victory is keeping Miami out of 3rd and long. Ideally, if Mark Fletcher can keep them out of 3rd and long and get some yards on the ground, that can keep the chains moving for Miami, keep the clock moving, keep Julian Sand and company off the field. Beck is going to have to play a lot better. I mean, Carson Beck, that goes without saying. Carson Beck is going to have to play a lot better. This is a guy who's 35-5 in his career as a collegiate starter, which I just want to say that again real quick. 35-5 is remarkable. I know he's, a lot of those wins were at Georgia where they just don't lose football games. But he was still the one making the throws. He has had big moments in big games before. I do expect will play better in this one. He's gonna have to. I mean, only 102 yards, and a lot of those yards were on that pop pass to Tony just after the catch. So the one thing in Beck's favor that he has going for him is he is elite at getting the ball out on time. He gets the ball out better than anybody in the country almost. 2.33 seconds, which is second in the nation according to you guys at PFF. He's going to have to throw on time. He's going to have to be protected, which will come down to, Francis Mauanoa and that O-line withstanding OSU's elite pass rush and company. But that is Miami's path, is Beck playing great and winning them this game, by Mark Fletcher and company not putting them in obvious passing downs where he's going to need to, buy time from the OSU pass rush and protection, because if they get behind the chains, that's where OSU just gets home all day, and that's where they will make them one-dimensional, and that's where they'll win this game. We haven't talked about Bo Jackson. I want to mention him because he has come on so strong for Ohio State this season. Oddly enough, I think he could be their key to victory, which we know how good Smith and Tate are, the two best wide receivers in the country, in my opinion, and we know what Sayin can do with his arm. Bo Jackson could be the key to success for Ohio State, given how strong he's come on. He didn't even play in the Texas game. Tell us about him and what he has going for this Ohio State offense.
No, that's a great point by you. I think the big key to this game you mentioned before is whoever can put their quarterback in fewer 3rd and long situations. And I think Fletcher and Jackson are going to be huge for that. I think they're both fantastic running backs. You saw Mark Fletcher. I mean, he was the hero for Miami's offense in that game against A&M. I think he'll be big in this one too. And then Bo Jackson, he's been probably the best Power 4 freshman running back we've had in the country this year. I don't want to say best overall freshman because Caleb Hawkins at North Texas is pretty awesome, but Bo Jackson, man, he's a stud, and I think he's kind of filled in the shoes that big shoes left behind by Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson very, very nicely, and he's been really good. Now, Miami's defensive line is elite. Miami's entire run defense has been elite this year, but I think Bo Jackson, if he can get enough on the ground and just give Julian Sayin, 3rd and medium, 3rd and shorts, that I think will be huge. I think he put it well. I think the key to this game is whatever quarterback can be in fewer 3rd and longs. And I do trust Julian Sayin more so than Carson Beck in 3rd and long. But I think the key in this game could be whoever gets enough out of their run game to not put too much pressure on their quarterback.
All right, Max, give me your score prediction for this one, and then I will give you mine.
I will say Ohio State 21-14. Again, I don't know. I don't think Ohio State's going to go out there and put up a ton of points. I think Miami's defense will put up a very valiant effort. Problem is, like I said before, Ohio State has not allowed 17 points in any game this year. I do not think Carson Beck and this Miami offense will do that. So I struggle to see how Miami's going to score more than I think 20 points might be the maximum for them. Again, I don't even know if they'll hit that. So I have 21-14 Ohio State. Again, defense for Miami puts up a great effort and really makes this game close for the entire game. But I just do not see Carson Beck and this Miami offense scoring enough against what's been arguably a top 3 defense in the country all year. I don't see them putting up enough points to ultimately win this game for the Hurricanes.
Alrighty. Okay. I'll give you my pick here. Now, let me start with, this was a preseason bracket pick I made before the season even started back in August. We did our brackets. We put in our 12 teams of who we thought. I had these 2 teams playing in a 7-10 matchup. Technically, we got it right, except OSU's the 2 and not the 7. However, what do I always tell you? Say, trust the analysis, go with your gut. Before the season, I picked Miami to beat Ohio State in a college football playoff game as a 10-7. We have made it to this point in the season. I cannot bail on that pick, Max. Can't do it. I got to trust my gut. I got to go with the first take. I got to trust the analysis. I'm sticking with the Miami Hurricanes. I think we're getting Carson Beck versus Georgia. I think it's happening. I think we're going to get Carson Beck rematch versus Gunnar Stockton and the Georgia Bulldogs, which the football gods will just make happen. We know it's coming. I got Miami scoring exactly 17 points. I think they get a late field goal in that game to take a lead and win 17-14. I think their defense wins them this football game. I think they put Sayin under duress. I think Beck makes just enough throws and steps up. I think he finds a way to get it done and wins 17-14. Miami Hurricanes upset pick.